All right, guys, we are back at it with another one. As we see here, we're gonna make some Puerto Rican sopa de fideo. This is what my family calls it. And of course, we gotta break out the sofrito. I would say Puerto Rican household normally stores their sofrito and Tupperware or things like a empty butter container. But we are gonna get down with some Puerto Rican sopa de fideo. So I have about 3 leg quarters that I am going to cut and wash my chicken. Some people don't wash their chicken, no judgment here. I was just raised to wash my chicken. But I am taking a rolling pin and helping me cut through that chicken bone, and I'm cutting the leg quarters in half. I did not cut my chicken legs in half, but you can cut your chicken legs in half. My great grandma probably would have cut them in half. She probably would have also taken off the skin from the chicken. Again, I didn't do that. Normally I use a whole chicken to make sopa de fideo, but this is what I had, so that's what I used. As you see here, I'm cutting up some, we call it calabaza, but some pumpkin. I hate peeling pumpkin. It is always such a mission, but that's what we're gonna do here, is just peel some pumpkin and chop that up. The great thing about this sopa de fideo, doesn't really take much. It's just a lot of prepping as far as cutting, because it does include a lot of root vegetables that you're gonna see that we're putting into the soup. So I'm just gonna cut up my pumpkin and cut up the rest of my produce to add to my sopa de fideo. Again, this is a really easy dinner or lunch to make, because you're just literally just cutting up a whole bunch of vegetables and adding it into a pot. And there should be a sequence on how you add these vegetables, which you're gonna see. Obviously you would add the ones that take a lot longer to get soft first, but we'll take a look at that. And as we see here, I'm just gonna go ahead and chop up some carrots and peel some carrots and chop those up as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some salt to my water, and really that's gonna be the salt is literally what's gonna make a lot of the saltiness of the soup. I don't add too much seasoning after this other than the sofrito. And as you see here, we're just gonna add our chicken and allow that to boil. I always put a whole onion in to help flavor the broth. You don't have to. This is just something my mom always did, so I do. I normally scoop it out once it gets soft. I normally always scoop it out before I add the rest of the ingredients. Now what we're gonna do here is just cut up and peel and cut some potatoes. I try not to cut them too small because I don't want them to fall apart in the soup, but this is going to be one of the last vegetables that we're gonna add to the soup. struggling a little bit getting that plate out, but we got it together. Just rinsing off my vegetables as well as I go. Now, normally what I do here is I add a can or a can or jar of pimentos or pimientos. However, I did not have any, so I try to go to the next best thing. I love the sweetness that pimientos add to the soup, but I didn't have any, so I just decided to cut up some extra pepper to go along with that, just as a substitution. Now you can add frozen corn, which my grandmother always used to do as well, and add frozen corn. These just happen to be on sale, so that's why I picked up some fresh corn on the cob, and just gonna cut that up into pieces. And this is also gonna add some sweetness to the soup as well. Some fresh cilantro. Try not to add too much of the stem. Some people like the stem, by all means go right ahead. And just taking a look at all the fresh and chopped produce. I do have a couple of small bags of yuca, which is also a root vegetable that we're gonna add in there as well. So I'm just skimming the top of that, what has been boiling there to take off that film and that oil. And now after I've done that and removed that whole onion, I'm gonna add some sofrito, which was the last of that batch. I have to take some out from the freezer, and add some sazon. And I have about 2 packs of sazon there and a pack of jamoncito. Now this is a pretty big batch of soup for my husband and I, but it lasted us a couple of days, actually more than a couple of days. And we did this type of soup just tastes better the day after anyway, so we didn't mind. I added some olives stuffed with pimentos, and I added a can of tomato sauce as well. Now we're gonna start adding our vegetables. So I added those chopped peppers. Normally, again, it would be a jar of pimentos. Now we're gonna start adding our vegetables as how soft we want them. So I added the pumpkin, the calabaza, and the carrots because I really want those to get soft. I'm gonna add some black pepper and a little bit of garlic powder. And that's literally it as far as seasoning goes. Look at that. Again, my great grandmother would have cut these pieces of chicken a lot smaller, and removed the skin. I didn't. But it did just well. I did go ahead and add my corn to start developing that sweetness within the soup. And now we're gonna add our yuca. I'm adding the yuca now. I do want it soft, but I don't want it soft to the point that it's falling apart in the soup and then it's hard to find it. So it is frozen yuca. I normally use fresh yuca, but these were on sale. So as they get soft, just take your spoon and kind of cut through it so it gets into smaller pieces, because those are really big pieces. It's just, unfortunately, they were frozen, so I couldn't cut them in before putting them into the soup. Just adding some more water. Now I'm gonna add my potatoes last, because again, potatoes doesn't take as long as the other vegetables to get softened. So I'm gonna add those last, because again, I don't want them falling apart in the soup. And I'm gonna add some of that cilantro. You can add cilantro. Culantro is a good one too to add to this. It's a similar herb, but I've done both. I've done one or the other. So as you see here, I'm just trying to put my spoon into the yuca and trying to cut through that as it's softening. And please taste as you go, adjust your seasoning. Now when I see that the soup is almost done, I'm gonna add my fideos. And be sure not to add too much fideos at once. I am guilty of doing that several times. As much as I make the soup, I always make that mistake, because those fideos just do drink up the broth and then the soup becomes way too thick. And it looks like we're pretty much done. It's silky, thick, flavorful, sweet, salty. It's everything that you want in a soup. And bon appetit, guys. That is sopa de fideos, Puerto Rican style, from my grandmother's kitchen to yours. She will be proud.